Hello everyone, I'm Jenya Romanova and this is my YouTube channel. My favorite topic is how to make everything come true. You already know the answer. No way. Now let's ask the question, what do I want to come true? And if we rephrase this question as, how can I make my dreams come true? The answer is actually very simple. First of all, you need to understand what it is you dream about, what your dream is. So let's do this. If you would like, please write your opinions and thoughts in the comments section under this video. My dream is, I often dream about this, truly. First, you need to figure out what you dream about because, well, at some point in my life, I dreamed about having lots of different pieces of jewelry and traveling. I wanted beautiful outfits, people around me. But now in my life today, I want something different. It's normal to change your dreams, to change your desires, because we change, life changes, and the world around us changes. And that's actually a natural process. The main characteristic of life is change. Only death does not change. Death is unchanging. So everything that changes is natural for life itself, for the ongoing flow and movement of life, for our understanding and awareness that we are truly alive, and for the deep, genuine feeling of being alive and present in each moment. And in order to reach your dreams, first you need to understand what exactly it is that you dream about. And after that, you're in for such a whirlwind. When you honestly admit to yourself what it is you truly dream about, you will most likely feel very, very, very scared. Because when you admit to yourself what you really want, on the one hand, it's terrifying that you might never achieve it in your life because you don't know how. And then it's also terrifying to think that it might actually come true and you'll really start living the way you want. And both of these things can be, oh, it's very scary. And that's exactly how it will be. That's why so many people give up on their dreams even at this very stage. The next stage is that you'll have to somehow overcome your fears to go through this completely wild, dense forest. Just like I once had to leave home and go somewhere on my own and learn how to do it. But it was very frightening. It was really scary. And I had to overcome a huge number of things. Well, for example, in order to move to another country and live there at that time, I at least needed to get a divorce. And I also had to overcome the anxiety that would arise if I didn't talk to my mom for a long time. So basically, I had to separate from my mom and divorce my husband. And those were my two biggest fears, the ones that haunted me in nightmares at night, that my husband and my mom weren't there. So in order for me to learn how to move through the world without losing my composure and without thinking that everything is over and I'm dying, I literally had to become a different person. And in order for you to become a person who lives their dream, you have to let the version of yourself die where you're not living your dream, where you're just living. You have certain habits, certain people around you, you have some kind of daily routine, and that's your life. To surround yourself with something different, you need to say goodbye to all of that. But that is you, and that is your life. It's very painful, truly difficult to endure. Essentially, in this particular version, you have to completely stop existing as yourself and then start existing as someone entirely, utterly different. And if you can somehow manage to overcome that incredibly challenging step, then the rest is just a technical matter. Really, it is. Well, people only manage to overcome this in one specific case, if they genuinely, truly, and absolutely, wholeheartedly want to. If you know exactly what you really want, and first you need to imagine that you are already living like that. Just imagine that you are already living there. I endlessly, from morning till night, imagine myself living in a world where I have my own educational platform. It brings value, and a huge number of people use our platform. And this is already happening routinely as a matter of habit. And I endlessly imagine this from morning till night, from morning till night. And the day just goes by while inside me, my new reality is playing out endlessly. And at the same time, every day I do something to make this reality come true. And it's a tremendous amount of work. But this is what makes me happy, and this is what gives me a sense of fulfillment inside. And in order to feel that you have enough, there are two options. The first option is to earn a huge, huge, huge amount of money, an insane number of millions of dollars, travel all over the world, attend all the major events, buy houses, cars, apartments, yachts. After 2 years, go crazy from realizing that none of this brings you happiness, and understand that in general, your life at the point where you started actually suited you perfectly well. There is a second path, to deliberately deprive yourself of all the comforts you've surrounded yourself with, and to set yourself a really ambitious, challenging objective for yourself. For example, well, I don't know, do any kind of work. Ask yourself, for instance, if you want to build a billion-dollar company that does something good for the environment or for the world. And start working. Everything you can imagine exists in the world. If you've thought about it, it already exists in the world. When I was little, my absolute favorite TV series was La Femme Nikita. If you've never heard of this series, at least watch the teaser. It's kind of like a version of Lucy in a series. This was when I was maybe about 10 years old, so that would have been around 1994. And back then, I saw how the series thoughtfully and carefully demonstrated in great detail modern liquid crystal screens, those display devices that people used to talk to each other even from different and distant parts of the world. And I thought, wow, that's some truly unreal, absolutely awesome stuff. I really wish that could actually be possible, even though it seemed so unlikely at the time. Back then, things like this just didn't happen, and it felt almost impossible to imagine. Now, I remember a time when I didn't have a computer, and that was completely normal. Now, my iPhone is like a third hand to me, something I rely on every single day for so many different things, and honestly, that's also completely normal in today's world. So, what am I getting at? I mean that the way a person can think, we can see it in the world we live in. And everything we've created, we first imagined it in our minds. Or you could also say, we dreamed it up. But isn't that proof that dreams are an absolute reality? That's how I see it. When you watch my channel on YouTube, some of you have said that it seems like I'm not real. But I am real, it's just that my speech isn't perfect. And I want you to be able to listen to me when you're driving, when you're busy with your own things. That's why we tweaked things a bit and made my speech perfect. Because it's so perfect, it gives the impression that I'm not a real person. No, I'm alive, I'm real. I don't actually talk like that, but I really want to learn. And while I'm still learning, we're using a bit of technological magic with modern tools, which, to be honest, I absolutely love. And I also enjoy these conversations about how artificial intelligence is replacing people. Artificial intelligence was created by humans for humans. When a person forgets that they are made in the image and likeness of God, and that they were created to create and to build, they forget this and become a slave to the system. And at some point, instead of creating and shaping their life anew every day, that is, being a creator and making things happen, a person invented work for themselves. And yes, indeed, a very large number of technical functions can now be performed by artificial intelligence. So this is good news for us because humans are capable of love.